I'm going to be reading Fury Bound, thrown right into the action. A bit of a nuisance. We're just there. Good afternoon. This week I'm going to be reading Fury Bound by Sable Sorenson. This just came out earlier on this week and I pre-ordered it, so I got the special signed edition, which is just gorgeous. Now this is the second book in this series, with the first book being Bound. In the first book we follow Merrin, our main character. In this world we have this group of elite warriors called Bonded who have a mental connection with dire wolves, and they are the warriors of this society, and there is this impending threat of these immortal creatures that live across the border, and Merrin, our main character, ends up getting entangled with these warriors. I really enjoyed this. Not only do we have the trials aspect of being a warrior, but also we have friendship, we have romance. I also love when fantasy books have connections with animals, but I especially love this one because wolves are my favorite animal, so I really enjoyed it. Now the second book is Fury Bound, and Sable Sorenson, the author, I'm pretty sure just announced that the third book will come out next year, 2027, and that will complete the trilogy. But this week I'm going to be reading the second book, Fury Bound, and let's just get straight into it. I am going to remove the dust jacket. Let me show you the special edition. So this is the normal cover, and then we also have this art cover as well. I love to put these dust jackets on when they're on my shelf, but when I'm actually reading them I don't like them, so I'm going to be reading it without the dust jacket. This is what the hard cover looks like in this edition with the gorgeous sprayed edge, and let's just get to reading.
I don't know if I can find my way out. I'm stuck in a prison of doubt.
Okay, so it has been just under an hour. I did end up purchasing Fury Bound on Kindle. I was planning on doing this anyway, just because the actual book is too chunky for me to take when I'm commuting. It won't fit in my bag. So if I have it on Kindle, I can still read whilst I'm commuting. And whilst I was sat here reading, it was just a bit difficult because of how chunky it is, and it's a hardback. So whilst I love the look of a hardback with a sprayed edge and all of that, and I think it will look great on my bookshelf, it's probably the worst thing to actually physically read. I like reading a paperback and I like reading on my Kindle, but reading a hardback this chunky was just very uncomfortable, so I did end up switching to my Kindle. And I haven't read on my Kindle in a while because I've been reading the Red Rising series, and I've also been doing a few audiobooks, so I've been reading a lot of paperback, so I've kind of neglected my Kindle a little bit, so it's nice to have it back. I did read just under an hour, so I'm now on chapter 4, which is 7% of the way through, so I made a little dent. I'm really liking it. I am kind of having to remember what's happened at the end of the last book. However, with the way that this story has picked up, we're thrown right into the action, but we are also given the information that we need from how the last book ended, which is really great. Sometimes I find when you pick up the next book in a series, either they don't give you enough of the information from the previous books, or they give too much and neglect the plot. But at the moment, it's a good balance between continuing the plot whilst also ensuring that the reader knows what they need to know in terms of the context from the first book. So I'm really enjoying that. Getting into the story, I'm liking where we are. As I mentioned, we're thrown right into the action of it from the way that the previous book ended, so I'm really enjoying that. I'm just remembering the characters and where we're at, what's happened so far, and getting back into the story, but I am enjoying it at the moment. Whilst it does always take a little bit of time to kind of get into a book, because this is the second book in the series, it's a bit easier because you already have the context of the first book. However, sometimes I find that the second book takes some time to get into the main plot, but at the moment we're right in the action and things are already happening, which I'm really enjoying. So I'm looking forward to continuing that, but I am going to pause for now, and then I'll probably get back to reading later on this evening. If not, then probably tomorrow. Hello, so it has been a couple of days and I have a few thoughts. I am now at 35% of the way through Fury Bound. After the first few chapters, it started to slow down a little bit. We were thrown right into the main main action right at the start, and then the pacing just dropped off and I got a little bit bored and I needed the momentum to come back. So I ended up purchasing the audiobook. So essentially, because I had it on Kindle, I then got a discount to purchase it on Audible, and that's the excuse that I'm going with. But I did end up doing that so that I could do an immersive read and also just listen to the audiobook as well, which has definitely helped me get back into the story, progress with a few more chapters. And so now I'm interested in it again and the momentum is starting to pick back up. But I did struggle with that a little bit. The second thing I struggled with was in the first quarter of the book, the FMC was really annoying me. She was just becoming a bit of a nuisance, and it's very rare for me to be irritated with the FMC. I think this is the first time that it's really happened, and it's just so annoying because you're in their view majority of the book, if not all of it, but in this instance the FMC is the primary POV that we have, and so for them to be annoying me, it was just making it difficult for me to want to continue reading. However, that has since dropped off a little bit. I'm not getting that annoyed with the FMC anymore. Either I've got used to it or she's just not being as annoying. So that's another note to make. But I am now 34% of the way through. Momentum is picking back up. We've had a few things occur that have shifted the dynamics, and I'm getting into the story a lot more, which is really, really great. And like I said, the FMC is not really annoying me anymore. So what I'm going to do is, I think this evening I'm going to do another immersive read and just get hopefully about halfway through before I catch up with you again, unless I have any major opinions. But that's kind of my thoughts on it so far. So I did struggle with that in the first 30% with those two things, but I think I've kind of gotten over that and we're getting back into the story and I'm enjoying it again.
In this torsion, and everything is grown up tight. There's no room to breathe.
Good morning. I will be heading into the office soon, but I wanted to update you. I am now 49% of the way through Fury Bound. I have been primarily reading this as an immersive read using my Kindle. It was just too uncomfortable to read this book. Not only is it chunky, it's also a hardcover, which I just find really uncomfortable to read. That being said, I'm liking where we're going. The issues I had towards the start of the book in terms of the pacing and the FMC, those no longer exist to me. So I don't know if they were just a blip at the start of the book, if they were because I was getting back into the story, but those don't exist for me anymore, which is really, really wonderful. I am liking the development we're having. We are having some moments between the FMC and the MMC as well, some tension, some moments where I'm giggling, so I'm really, really liking that development as well. One note to make is that a lot of the plot points, developments and twists have been very obvious. You know that they're going to happen. They're not shocking at all. That being said, I'm liking the execution of them. So whilst I don't love that I'm able to guess at what's going to happen next, I'm still liking the way that they're getting executed. But that is one note that I have had so far whilst reading this. And for someone that doesn't really theorize, for me to be able to guess at that many points, because it's not just been one or two, it's been quite a few, is a little bit annoying. But as I said, I'm still liking the execution of it. I really like the side characters as well and the way that those have developed and how some of the friendships have changed, how dynamics have changed as well. So I'm liking that too. I do think the next few chapters are going to be really interesting. We are at a high point in the book, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. But I am going to head into the office now and I'm going to read this on my commute. Good morning. It has been a couple of days. I have been ill, so I haven't been wanting to film, but I have been reading Fury Bound and I have honestly not been enjoying it. The FMC started to annoy me again. The moments between the FMC and the MMC were just there, but they weren't enjoyable to read. They were very lusty and I just didn't enjoy them at all. The POV of the MMC was also just there. I didn't enjoy that either. Another thing is I really like the wolves and I really like the world that we're in, and I think there's a lot that can be done with that, but I've just been getting really bored with it. I also had the same thing with where the plot developments are very obvious with what's going to happen and what could potentially happen, so that's been really annoying. I did end up purchasing the audiobook and doing an immersive read of this, and that was the only way for me to kind of push through. But I have got, I think, under 10% left, so I'm on chapter 57. So I am going to finish that off today. I'm going to be doing an immersive read right now, and I'm just gonna finish this book and we'll see what my final rating is. But at the moment it's really not looking good, but I do just want to complete this now. One thing is I did get this, which you can like put onto your Kindle and you can just press the button and it will go to the next page. So I am going to be using that. I've also got some tea, so I'm just gonna be listening to the audiobook, doing an immersive read, having my tea, and we're gonna finish this book right now. I'm so bored. So bored. I think that's the thing. I'm past the point of caring about the characters or their relationships. Like, I'm numb to it because I've been so bored. But I haven't got long left, so I am going to make myself finish the book and then we'll talk. But I'm not enjoying this. Okay guys, I have in fact finished reading Fury Bound and I am so disappointed in this book. I thought I was going to absolutely love it. I thought it was going to be a 5-star. I think I gave the first book, Diabound, 4 stars, so I thought this was going to be even better, but it wasn't. I have decided upon giving this 2 stars in total. I kept jumping around between the rating as I was reading the book. At some points I thought it'd be 3 stars, then I thought 4, then I thought 2, then I thought 3.5. But at this point, I'm giving it 2 stars, and that is primarily because I love the wolves. However, I had a lot of issues with this book. As a summary, the FMC was really annoying in the first 30%, and then after that, she wasn't. There were some odd moments where she was a little bit, but majority of the time, it was in the first 20-30% that she was just getting quite irritating. The relationship between the FMC and the MMC was really boring, really lusty. I was just bored. And then the MMC's POVs were also quite bland and boring, and I think I just got to a point where I just didn't care and I disconnected from the characters so much because I was so bored of the story. On top of that, I could easily guess a lot of the plot points that were going to happen. It was just not enjoyable. Whilst I liked the execution of quite a few of these plot points, the fact that I knew what was going to happen was just really getting on my nerves, and so I just came to a point where I was just really bored and I disconnected so much from the story and from the characters, and I didn't care what was going to happen. And to be honest, if I wasn't filming this video, I probably would have DNF'd this book earlier on, but I did complete it and I'm probably not going to be reading the 3rd book. That 3rd book does in fact come out next year. If the 3rd book was already out, I would have already DNF'd this book and this series. However, the 3rd book is coming out next year. I don't think I'm going to read it, but I'll see what mood I'm in by the time it comes out. But I just think I was so bored of this book and I've disconnected from the characters so much that it just wasn't enjoyable to read, and I don't really care what's going to happen to them, and I don't want to spend time reading the 3rd one when I can read a book that I will actually enjoy. But I'm really disappointed in this, and that's really sad. That doesn't happen for me very often. Well, maybe it does. I do tend to DNF books quite a lot, but I was just disappointed in this because of the fact that it has all of the things that I would enjoy. I love romantasy. I really enjoyed the 1st book. I love wolves. I love the connection between the wolves and the humans, and I really enjoyed a lot of that and the world building and so many things that were part of this book that I would have really loved. It was just the way that the story unfolded. I just got so disconnected from it. I didn't care about the characters and what was happening, which was really sad. But yeah, I've ended up giving this 2 stars, and I don't think I'm going to complete the trilogy. But thank you so much for reading this with me. Let me know what your thoughts were on this book. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? What rating did you give it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.